Welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About. From Barrie 360, I'm Dan Blakely. This week, we're talking about a major step forward in pediatric care close to home. Royal Victoria Regional Health Centre has joined something called the Kids Health Alliance. And we're talking about life insurance, why you should have it, when you should get it, and how many Canadians would rather fill out their tax form than discuss life insurance. And remember the United Way, charitable organization, helps a lot of people. It's still around, working quietly in the background. We find out exactly what it's up to locally. We get the conversation started after this. This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. Hard to believe there's something more bothersome to Canadians than doing their taxes, but apparently there is, says so in this TD insurance survey. 43% of Canadians said they would rather do their taxes than review their insurance policies. Had to find out more about this, so we reached out to Dominic Bruno of TD Insurance. Welcome to the program.
Happy to be here.
Main question here, I guess, is why? What is so daunting or scary about revisiting life insurance coverage?
Most people don't know where to start, and they don't know if they're going to be approved. And so one tip I always share is during tax time, you have your whole financial picture in front of you. And you probably reflected major life milestones, such as having a child, getting married, or buying a home. So this is a great time to also review your life insurance needs. And the question I always ask everyone is, if you were to pass away, could your partner or your family handle your outstanding obligations if they needed to? And if that question makes you pause for even a second, then I'd say being in the life insurance market is right for you.
And so that's why you need to ask questions, because none of us really knows what our relatives, our next of kin are going to need.
That's right. And so a good place to start is actually on your tax return. So if you look at your income, your partner's income, and the value of your mortgage, if you add those three numbers together, and if that sum exceeds the amount of life coverage you have today, then that's a really good signal that you need to top up your coverage. And what I always recommend is you can go online, and there are many tools that could help you do that, or speak to a licensed advisor, and TD Insurance offers both solutions for clients who prefer more guided experience or self-serve experience online.
Is there an average that people are taking out in life insurance coverage? I know it depends on circumstances. A lot of people I know have $100,000 worth of coverage. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the general rule of thumb is the amount of coverage you need varies by the multiple of your age. So if you take me, I'll share my story. So I bought my first policy 8 years ago. And so in my age bracket, the rule of thumb was I needed 10 to 15 times my current income to in terms of the amount of coverage I needed. But then that number flexes depending on if I'm getting married or if I'm having children and I want to save for their education. So the best advice I have is go online. There's lots of needs assessment tools out there that take about 10 to 15 minutes, ask you all the key questions that you need to determine the right coverage amount for you.
All right. I've had the same life insurance policy since I was 18. We're going back 50 years. And I have revisited a few times, or I have a chat with, a tax advisor or a financial advisor. And, let's review your insurance. And then they look at it and say, they say, this is a great policy. Don't change a thing. How often does that happen?
I always recommend reviewing your coverage on an annual basis. And if you're in the pool of having coverage for the last 50 years, you're probably ahead of most people. And that would fall under the category of a whole life policy. So those policies are great if you're looking to transfer your legacy to your loved ones, cover some final expenses. But what I always share is that a combination of permanent whole life or term insurance is the best combination you can give to your family, because term covers larger liabilities like your mortgage, and it is the most cost-effective form of coverage. And honestly, when I speak with clients, when I speak with people at TD Insurance, term is actually the most popular choice. So always start that journey, give your licensed advisor a call, go online and always start with the term policy and see if it makes sense to supplement with a whole life that you've had. Congratulations on that for the last 50 years.
I'm surprised every time it comes up because, oh, let's have a look at it. And they look at it. Don't change a thing. Leave it as is.
Exactly.
Somebody
Yeah.
looked after you, long time ago. What are the advantages? You talked about one there in terms of mortgages and term insurance, but what are the advantages of one over the other, whole life and term?
Exactly. So the advantage of whole life is that it's permanent. Once you buy it, you pay the same premium for the life of the policy, and you never have to worry about renewing. Even if your health changes, your policy is locked in, and most importantly, you're guaranteed to receive that benefit because whole life and permanent never expires. The disadvantage is that it's very, very expensive, usually costing around 3 to 4 times what a term policy costs every year. So this is why I was speaking about laddering coverage is very effective because you can buy lots of term to protect your temporary, hopefully, liability of your mortgage that usually lasts 25 or 30 years. And then you supplement that with a whole life so that you can protect, say, final expenses at the time that you pass, such as funeral, bereavement costs, things associated with that.
And I've heard over the years, and I haven't thought about it, I haven't had any need to think about it, but people wanting to cash in their policies, can you do that with both if circumstances are such that, I got to get out of this, I need that money back?
Well, actually, with whole life, you are able to do that. It has a value you can borrow against or cash out. I would always recommend those speaking with a tax consultant because there are tax considerations if you choose to do that with whole life. With term, there is no ability to borrow or cash out, but the trade-off is you're paying a lot less. So you can almost think of it with whole life and permanent. That feature is almost priced into the cost of your insurance. It is convenient, but it is priced in. Term is kind of like the most cost-effective form, but you give up the ability to be able to borrow or cash in against the policy.
What's the risk for Canadians who keep putting this off? What can happen if they're not reviewing their coverage year after year or every couple of years?
Right. So there's two things that come up when I have this conversation. So the most important is your family's well-being is in jeopardy, right? And it's never done intentionally. But if you think about those, as when I was talking about, having a mortgage, or especially if you have a child or you're married, if you put off your life insurance review, you're not prepared for that unexpected. When your life plan doesn't go according to plan, that's what can leave your family exposed. So that's the number one risk is your family may not be able to stay in their home. Your heirs and your children may not be able to have the same standard of living as you had when you or your partner were with them. So that's risk number one. Risk number two is waiting costs you money. So the prime time to look at purchasing life insurance is right in that age 25 to 40, 45 in the case of a term policy. This is conveniently when most people are hitting their stride in their lives. They're getting married. They bought a home. Their incomes are probably progressing upward. Those are all good life events and triggers to sit down and review your coverage and to make sure your family's well-being is protected.
Do you find that people put this off or don't want to talk about it because to them it kind of triggers thoughts of, I'm not going to be around forever and I'm going to die? And do you find people throw that argument out a lot?
Yes, absolutely. But the number one question I get is, well, is there any living benefit that's associated with term and with life insurance in general? And the good news is carriers have invested a lot of money since COVID to develop their life insurance products to make them more accessible to people and to add living benefits. For example, I can share with TD that if you purchase a life insurance policy with us, and you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, we could actually advance a portion of your benefit while you're still alive to help cover some of those expenses, while you're receiving care or treatment. So that I would say that is the main consideration that folks should think of. And the second thing I hear, in addition, Dan, to what you shared, is I don't know if I'm going to be approved. So then I say, well, we've also made lots of investments in the auto approval process. Auto approval means if you answer a question and you're a healthy applicant, you could be approved instantly. with no more blood tests, no exams, no a nurse or underwriter coming to your home. A portion of our applicants consistently qualify for that benefit. So again, it goes back to starting the journey and seeing what coverage is right for you.
And situations change over the years, and I'm thinking now in terms of beneficiaries. You may have listed somebody, and then something happens, and because you're not reviewing, you don't think about it, and then something happens to you, and the beneficiary situation is all messed up.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great point. Like, as part of the review that you would do annually, say, during tax time, always make sure your beneficiary information is up to date to avoid, tax implications, and to make sure that, if you experienced any changes in your family, that those are also properly reflected, and ensure that benefit remains tax-free.
For those who feel intimidated by all of this, how long does a basic review actually take, and what's the easiest first step for them?
Yeah, so the first step I would start with is back to your tax return. So add up those three numbers: your income, your partner's income, and the value of your mortgage. If that sum exceeds the current amount of life coverage you have today, that's an immediate trigger to start reviewing your policy. And getting started is very easy. Most carriers, you're able to obtain a price in 60 seconds or less. And most applications can be completed in 15 minutes or less. So it's relative. You've already done all the hard work, filing your taxes, going through all those forms. Taking that extra step to make sure your family is protected is well worth it, and is the first step in protecting the family.
That's what we keep getting told, and I was told early on as well, but I'm thinking, too, you probably have a lot of difficulty convincing young people that they need to do this.
That's a great point, and what I will share is, after COVID, and I mean, you can put me in the young person category. So when I tell all my friends, what the benefits are, that's the exact question I get is, well, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need it. And the ironic thing is that is exactly when you should purchase a coverage and lock in. What I always tell my friends and prospective clients is, buying your policy when you're healthy, especially if you buy a permanent policy, locks in that good health that you enjoy today, so that you have peace of mind that over the next 20, 30 years or life of your policy, that if your health changes as you achieve more milestones, you're protected. You don't have to worry about reapplying. And so that's why it's always good to, always look at what kind of person, look within. What kind of person are you? Speak to your licensed advisor. If you're a type of person that prefers to have coverage for life, then maybe whole life is better for you, and you have that peace of mind that no matter what happens to your health or your partner's health, you're covered. But if you're really only concerned about protecting your short-term or medium-term liabilities like a mortgage, then perhaps term is better for you. But either one will make sure that you're set up for success in the event that the unexpected happens.
All right. So while paperwork is still fresh in our mind because we've all filed our taxes now, haven't we? Ha ha ha. While all that is still fresh in your mind, dig out the life insurance policy, take a look at it. If you have any questions, reach out to your whoever you have it with, and ask some questions, and maybe take another look at it.
Absolutely.
Dominic, thanks so much for the advice. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure being on your station.
Thank you so much. Royal Victoria Regional Health Centre has stepped up its pediatric care, joining the Kids Health Network, which was founded by Sick Children's Hospital, RVH, the 7th Community Hospital, to join the program. Barrie 360's Ian McLennan getting the details from Hospital for Sick Children President and CEO Ronald Cohn.
Dr. RVH has joined Kids Health Alliance. It is described as a partnership dedicated to advancing quality health care for children and youth in Ontario. Bring it home for us. Why is this partnership important, not just to the hospital, but for the community that children and youth that will access the services provided?
First of all, I'm incredibly excited about this partnership because what it really provides us with is to create a standard of care that is of high quality, providing great outcomes for children within the region, within the hospital that is close to their home, and that doesn't require for them to drive long hours to a different hospital, like, for example, sick. And that partnership, really working together in trying to identify opportunities of improving the care for children is going to be of huge benefit for thousands of children who live in this area.
Well, KHA's guiding principle is where a child lives should not impact the care they receive. Care closer to home matters. So what differences might we see down the road that aren't currently available at RVH?
I think what we will accomplish through the Kids Health Alliance partnership is we are working together with teams at RVH to identify where there are potential gaps in care or maybe even gaps in skills and knowledge. And what I think has been the success story and the secret sauce really for these partnerships to work is that we go into these learnings together. So it's not just one big hospital telling smaller hospital, this is what you need to do, because we learn from each other. We learn that the environments are different. The environments require different needs, and identifying those needs and then identifying the gaps that we can close is what this partnership is all about, and that's what we will accomplish.
Now, you already partner with 7 hospitals or 6 other community hospitals, including Aurelia Soldiers Memorial Hospital. Do you have any examples which you could share from Aurelia or your other partner hospitals where, change has been made and there has been progress in some things that may not have taken place had not there been, the partnership with Kids Health Alliance?
True, the matter is there's probably too many to
Right, okay.
name right now. But if you really look at in, let's say, emergency room and neonatal intensive care unit care, if you look at these 2 examples, I think sometimes there are conditions, let's say a complicated pneumonia, for example, where you feel you're not equipped in your own local emergency room to deal with just the antibiotic treatment, supportive oxygen treatment, maybe some of the initial assessments that are necessary to determine if it's something that really requires a tertiary care hospital or that could actually be provided at the local hospital. And this is just one of many, many examples where you would have usually automatically other parents go directly to a larger tertiary care hospital, or sometimes even previously the emergency rooms or even in the neonatal intensive care unit, patients were like automatically transferred without much thinking about it. And now we are creating the environment to say, you know what, this is actually something that we can do here locally with the support of the Kids Health Alliance, establishing the skill set that's necessary to take care of children locally without sending other way.
How critical is partnership in terms of the technology that's now available to hospitals across the network, say KHA, where you can keep a youngster or hopefully keep a youngster within their home community that may have not been possible, just a few years ago?
I think technology has just facilitated this entire process. I would say we started the Kids Health Alliance many years ago when technology was not as advanced, and we have still been able to accomplish quite a bit. Now with technology being so accessible, whether this is through official electronic health record, connections via Zoom or other even FaceTime opportunities, you are right there sometimes with the healthcare team and the patient and the family, and you can talk things through, you can provide advice, and then assessment that is just so much more supportive these days than several years ago. So it's facilitating everything.
And finally, Doctor, what makes the healthcare so unique about children and youth? I mean, so many people have been touched by Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, either through a child that's been ill or other family member. What makes healthcare so unique for dealing with children and youth, or so special?
So let me start by saying children are not little adults. I think very often there is a perception in the larger public that, well, children are just little adults. Children are very different in terms of their biology, in terms of their physiology, in terms of their development. And at each developmental stage, you kind of need a different skill set to take care of any kind of medical problems that arise. So pneumonia in a 2-month-old is not the same like pneumonia in a 2-year-old or a 10-year-old. And there are countless examples that demonstrate that you really need a different skill to take care of a child, and you cannot apply the skill that you have or the standard of care that you would practice in adults simply to children. That's why it's special. That's why it requires different environments, different support systems, different skill sets. Like we are now, Emily Venmo will be putting them into place for RVH through our collaboration, and it really has been a tremendous success story over the last few years with many other hospitals as well.
Joined now by Brian Shelley, CEO, United Way, Simcoe Muskoka. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm struggling because I used to hear United Way, United Way, United Way all the time, and I don't hear it as much anymore. Are you guys just kind of doing your work under the radar now?
Well, no. I think there are that many more charities in the marketplace now, right? And so it is a bit more of a cluttered place. Certainly, we're still very much out in community and doing work and raising funds. But I mean, it really, and when I say cluttered marketplace from a charitable sector, I think that more speaks to the need, right? There's just so many people struggling, and there's so many grassroots organizations emerging, and as such, it's harder to get our name out there sometimes.
Well, and I didn't mean to make it sound like you're not doing anything,
no, of
because
course.
I know you're not. It's just I seem to recall always hearing United Way was doing this, United Way was doing that, and I don't hear it as much. But as you say, a lot of competition, I guess, for those funds. That and you talk about more people struggling, but we've also have an economic situation now where people are not as forthcoming, I guess, with funding for such things.
Yeah, and so our United Way has had to change its model, as I think many charities are having to look at, and that we have diversified our revenue stream. So it used to be that United Ways raised all their funds through local donations. Certainly donations still play a huge part in the way that we generate funds. And because of our model, the bulk of the funds that we raise actually go into community, because we've launched a social enterprise in the last decade or so, that it covers majority of our overhead. So we administer the Low Income Energy Assistance Program for several utilities across the province. It started local, but we've now expanded province-wide. And so not only are we helping folks who are struggling to make ends meet by paying or helping them pay down their utility debt through a grant, but also we earn a fee from the utility company. That goes a long way to covering our admin overhead and allows us to make sure that those donated dollars actually go into community.
So you talk about the low income thing. What else are you doing to help people out? I seem to recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I was a kid, which is a long, long time ago, the Miles for Millions walk in Toronto every year, I think, was a United Way thing. Yeah. And then it stopped, and I think there were specific reasons for that. But do you still do things like that?
Sure. We have a big event actually coming up on May 31st. It's called the Everest Challenge. EverestChallenge.ca is where you can sign up for that. I know we have a team from Rock 95 and Cool FM who'll be climbing the mountain. So that's an event where folks can, as a team, climb the hill at Horseshoe Valley Resort, the equivalent number of times as it would take to summit Everest. And we encourage every participant to fundraise $200. That's money that's being raised locally, that's staying locally, and it's going directly to helping either people who are struggling or to support those organizations that are coming together to support folks struggling.
You've kind of got three streams that you're focusing on now?
Yeah. So with our fundraised dollars, those dollars go into three separate pots of funding. The majority of funding actually goes into 3-year collaborative projects that bring together multiple partners over a 3-year period to address a complex need. So, for example, we have a current project that's bringing together Camp Hill Communities, Habitat for Humanity, and Simcoe County Builders. We've committed in the ballpark of $300,000 to that project over a 3-year term. Through that project, adults who have barriers to employment are getting paid training in the trades. And then their end-of-term project, if you will, is building 8 affordable housing units in partnership with Habitat. So we have 7 projects like that across Simcoe and Muskoka. We also provide non-repayable micro grants to folks who are struggling. So if we think of someone on social benefits, on ODSP or OW, you're living week to week, but social benefit to social benefit. If you break your glasses, as I look across at you and I see you wearing glasses, that's a huge financial crisis, something that many of us take for granted if we have savings or if we have benefits. So to provide that one-time cash grant of $250 to replace a pair of glasses is key. The other piece that we've launched, though, just in the last, actually, our first loan went out in July of last year. So in less than the last year, we've started working in partnership with local organizations to connect folks who are at risk of being evicted with interest-free loans to cover their rent and in certain situations, even their mortgage. This is designed to help folks who are at risk of becoming homeless, right? We know that number is climbing. So we saw this project, this program, as an opportunity to be on the prevention side there. Hopefully we can keep folks housed, and we can keep folks from entering predatory debt at the payday loan establishments, because we know that once someone takes on that loan, they're entering a cycle of debt that can lead to homelessness. So we feel this home relief bank, and I'll do the plug. You call 211 to see if you're eligible for it. Is a great way that we can play a preventative role on the homelessness piece. And the beauty of that is, as those loans are repaid, they get recycled back into the community and go to the next loan to the next family that's struggling to make ends meet. So it really is stretching the donor's dollar further and further, helping as many folks as we can.
Do you have numbers in terms of the number of people that you're helping in that regard? Number one. Number two, in terms of how long, like how many months are you helping people out and with that interest-free loan, and is that piling up on them? And
so the goal is these have to be folks who have a pathway to repayment. So actually, it isn't eligible for everybody, right? So the reality is, actually, most of the folks who've applied, this isn't the right benefit, and the county will provide often a grant for those who are truly in a situation where they can't repay. This is more for that mushy middle, right? So folks that don't qualify for a social benefit have an income, but again, something has gone sideways in that moment. Maybe they lost 2 or 3 weeks of work due to a family sickness or what have you, and so we're able to provide that loan. So again, we're making sure this is going to folks who have an ability to repay, but find themselves in a one-time crisis. We are willing to provide loans of up to 2 months rent, and giving folks 3 years to repay that. And we're trying to work really hard with them to come up with repayment plans, and to also be flexible. We understand that this is not always going to be a straightforward trajectory. The idea here is to help people stay housed, and that means sometimes you have to be a bit flexible on that repayment.
What a blessing that is, though, even for just 2 months to get you over what may be just a hump, a bump in the road, and then you've got some time to get it back and repay it without overextending yourself. Yeah,
I think the term that we've heard politicians use is a circuit breaker, right? We hope that this is a circuit breaker for someone that's on that trajectory towards homelessness. Maybe this is just that one lifeline they need to stabilize. And, we've had some wonderful feedback from families who've entered the program, thanking us. If we think about it, it's all the trajectory, right? It's also their kids didn't have to change schools, right? We know for families, that's a big deal. And this one family said that their children were able to stay with them because they were able to retain their apartment. So the trickle-down effects are huge. And we know that once someone enters the shelter system, the costs are actually really high. So if we can keep people housed, it reduces the strain on our social systems, reduces the strain on our healthcare system, reduces the strain on our policing, and it's the right thing to do. It keeps people and their families together and keeps people with a roof over their heads.
We really don't have any idea. Well, you do, but the rest of us really have no idea how many people are out there struggling, how many could use just that little bit of help to, as I say, to get them over the hump. But there you are, and you're easily accessible, and it doesn't hurt to reach out to United Way and say, hey, is there anything you have that can help me out through this jam?
Well, and the way to do that is through 211. So we help fund the 211 info line, and it's a contact center, and it's available 24/7, and it helps connect folks to the program. So 211 is United Way funded, and we're proud to support it, and that's where folks can call if they're struggling. And also it's the entryway into our own programs like our Urgent Needs Fund, which I spoke to, and our Home Relief Bank.
Bottom line is you're still there. You haven't gone anywhere.
Absolutely, and we need your help. So whether it's through signing up for the Everest Challenge or if you want to make a one-time donation at uwsimcoemuskoka.ca, again, we have shifted our model, and we're proud of that shift because it means that the dollars raised stay here, and they are making a difference in community.
Tell us more about the Everest Challenge, which is coming up. I know they're colleagues of mine who are very involved in it and were the last time around, but what's involved with that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a fun day. It's the number of times that folks have to go up the hill depends on the number of members on your team, right? So I think if you have a team of 2, I think you're climbing the hill 20 plus times. But if you have a team of 10, it's probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 times up the mountain or up the hill each. It is a great team builder. My team is a team of local parents and kids from my neighborhood. We'll be climbing together as the Midhurst Mountaineers. But at the end of the day, again, all the net proceeds from that event will be going towards our United Way. We are the sole charity of choice, and those funds go directly back into our community.
All right. And for more information on that again?
everestchallenge.ca.
All right, Brian, thanks so much for coming in, reminding us that the United Way is still there, still helping every way it can.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, we're here, and we need support so we can help those that need it.
We talk about fundraising walks on the program from time to time, but here's a new one with a grab you by the collar name. Here again is Ian McLennan with Bernice Blanchard, who is in a battle with pancreatic cancer.
Kicking Pancreas. That's the name of the walk to raise awareness and funds in the fight against pancreatic cancer. The walk is taking place on May the 9th. But before we get to the details about the walk, tell us about your journey and when you were diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Sure. I was diagnosed 3 years ago while I was on vacation in the Caribbean, and I was actually celebrating my retirement on my 60th birthday, and I started to feel sick with vomiting and some bad bowel movements, and I just thought maybe it was because of the water, or, you have those things in the Caribbean. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I turned quite jaundiced. So my eyes were yellow. My skin was kind of yellowing. So I got into a doctor there as soon as I could, and she just suggested that I get home as soon as possible.
And when did you find out about your diagnosis? When were you told?
So when I came back, we got the next flight out of the islands, and my son met me at the airport. We went right to RVH emergency department. And it was that night. I was able to provide some of the information that she did tests in the Caribbean. They did tests again there, and I was told probably 3:00 in the morning that night that I had a tumor that was cancerous on my pancreas.
Pancreatic cancer has a brutal, evil reputation. To be frank, you know that. People don't live long with this disease unless it's caught early. And quite often, I believe that the symptoms appear once it's too far gone. Where are you at with that right now?
So I am actually, you're quite right, because they're usually diagnosed quite late. So I was stage 4. They had sent me down for what they call a Whipple. So a Whipple procedure is something that you could, is a very successful, if you can catch it early enough, for pancreatic cancer. Mine, unfortunately, when they opened me up, realized it had spread. So then they class you as stage 4, and then they're not able to do anything further with the Whipple. So yeah, it was that night that I found everything out and went off to St. Joe's for that, and then back to RVH for chemotherapy.
And are you receiving any treatment now?
Oh, yeah. I go every 2 weeks. Yeah. I've been doing it for 3 years now. I think I'm probably one of the lucky longer ones. A lot of people don't last. Like you said, it's usually, I was told originally it's like a year. I might have a year less if I didn't do any chemo. I was lucky enough to be part of a clinical trial at the very beginning, and I really believe that helped stunt my tumor in my pancreas. And since then, I've been on what we call Fulflori, and I've been on that for 2 years now. So,
and just with the diagnosis you got of pancreatic cancer, stage 4, just what goes through your mind? I know that seems like a cliche question, but
Well, it's devastating because I think at first I just didn't believe it. I just didn't think it was that bad. I thought, no, it's going to end up being something else. It can't be. Like, I just retired. I'm healthy. I've never had any health issues. So I think at first it was like I just really didn't believe it until we started with the whole procedure and the Whipple, and it takes you a while to sink in and realize how bad it is.
But you're giving back with this walk to others who have pancreatic cancer or who were diagnosed. Tell us about Kicking Pancreas, which is a great name. How did it come about, and how did this first ever walk in Barrie? How did it come together?
So I started doing research on the internet, of course, for anything to help me with my dilemma, and I came across the site called Craig's Cause. So Craig's Cause was actually started in the East Coast, and Stephanie Conlon is the daughter of Craig. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away. And she started this walk to raise funds for research, patient support, caregiver support. We have a meeting every Monday night by Zoom for whoever wants to join. And it's really great to be able to talk to people that are going through the same thing and really understand what you're going through. So she started that, I'm not sure, I'm guessing maybe 10 years ago. And it just spread across Canada. So I found out about the Burlington one, entered. My family came. I had a great support system, raised $22,000 for that. And I was just determined to bring it to Barrie. We have a beautiful waterfront. And it's an evening walk, so it's fun.
That's what I thought was interesting, because a lot take place during the day. Why was evening selected?
No, they just wanted to have something a little bit different. And the color for pancreatic cancer is purple. So we just light up. Like, we have tutus that light up purple. We put purple wigs on, and it's just a sea of purple against the water. So it'll be fun.
And it begins at Centennial Park?
Centennial Park, right at the pavilion right next door to the washrooms. And it starts at the register. It's 6:30 is for pickup, and then 7:30 is race time.
And it heads over to the Heritage Park area, almost to the end of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know the numbers are going to continue to grow, but you were at 10,000, and you've well surpassed that. As we're talking now, I believe it's well over 26,000.
Yeah, we're a little bit over 26,000 today, and we are at about 162 walkers, registered walkers.
What you do know about the disease that you have, is there progress in combating this illness, and more research and an understanding?
Yeah, we do need more research, of course, like any cancer, but there has been progress because 10 years ago there weren't any clinical trials, and again, I thank God. I'm so lucky that I got into a trial right away. That helped me stunt my tumors. So they're always doing research for more clinical trials. Those are very popular now. Like when they're becoming more and more popular.
Because I know you would know names that have, people that are well known, like a Michael Land and a Patrick Swayze, that were diagnosed with this disease. It's ruthless. Anybody can get it. Is there a specific age, or where it's,
It tends to be over 60.
Right.
I happened to be 60 at the time. But no, it can hit anybody. And what's devastating about it is, again, you just don't, there's no early tests for it. The signs, you just think it's something else, Again, I didn't even really know what my pancreas did until I found out that I had pancreatic cancer. And it's one of the unknown ones, I think, because, we're all familiar with breast cancer. We're familiar with prostate cancer, colon cancer. So we just need more early detection. And that's where we're trying to put research into.
You're stage 4, you're living. How critical is your family support? And is a walk like this just keep you plugged in?
Honest to God, it has motivated me so much. I'm overwhelmed with the support that's out there, not just with my family and my friends, but with the community. I really didn't expect to have this many walkers. I thought maybe I'd have 40 or 50. We're up to like 160. And through this already, I've met a couple of people have been going through the journey. So, I've made a connection there. And it's very, very important. The support from the community, friends, family is very important.
And you have a website?
Yep, Craig's Cause. It's www.craigscause.ca, and you can go there and you can find more information about the research and the support that we provide, our peer group, and all of the walks across Canada.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian for his input, to Logan for his technical expertise, and to Gio for his help getting the word out. Let's not forget to thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.